Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every week, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial arts and other stuff they're involved in. My guest today is not only a martial artist, but an actor and a musician, was born into a musical family in New Bedford, Mass, and began performing at age 13. Throughout the 60s, he played sax in New England for the Blazers, Bernie and the Cavaliers, the New Spices, Mike and Jenna, and Triumph. In the 1970s, he joined the band he is best known for, John Cafferty and the Beaver Band. While with this band, he was featured on many movie soundtracks, including for one of my all-time favorite movies, Eddie and the Cruisers. My guest today was also in that movie and the sequel, where he played the fictional saxophonist Wendell Newton. Please welcome my guest today, Michael Tunes Antunes. How you doing today, sir?
Good afternoon, young man. How are you? I'm great.
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be talking to you. I'm a huge fan. Like I mentioned, it is one of my all-time favorite movies. And when I found out you were a martial artist, I'm like, I need to interview him. I really have to. I think he'd be fun to talk to. So I'm looking forward to this.
Well, the martial arts, I got started that back when I went into the Air Force back in 1960. You know, up until that time, I was an athlete, baseball, basketball, football, Little League, Pony League, and played a couple of times with semi-pro baseball.
Oh, wow.
And 1 year semi-pro football.
Wow.
And that was right after I got out of the military back in 63. And but the martial arts side of me has been with me my whole life. And I tell people sometimes, if you eat right, work out right, you'll live long. Okay? And always be prepared, be ready, and be exact. The be ready and be prepared and be exact came in. I was a Air Force air policeman.
Okay.
So we had to always be physically fit, morally straight, and look you in the eye and give you the look. And you had to back the look up. So I was looking for something to back me up, and that's when I found martial arts.
Wow. Okay.
Which, because weapons don't always answer the problem.
Right.
And so if I was able to come upon a scene or something that is happening that involved the air police, I needed to be ready. And with the onset of martial arts, it was Taekwondo that I was learning from another airman who had been stationed over in Korea for a couple of years. And it really opened my eyes as to the possibilities of how to defend yourself when you had nothing but you. Your hands, your feet, your head. And if you use your head, you'll know where to put your hands and your feet. And that came to pass several times without serious injury to anyone. Let's say a perpetrator or someone of that nature who was out of whack, let's say, out of line and crossing the line. And so the martial arts, without pulling out your club or even your side weapon, you were able to stop and subdue that individual or individuals with the least amount of chaos.
Wow.
And the martial arts, I tell people all the time, I said, you'd be surprised, your biggest war that you have is inside your head. What am I going to do? And that's a big question. And how do I do it? That's a second big question. The biggest question is, what were the results? And if your results come by using certain techniques that that's available to martial artists, you can stop something pretty quick.
Right.
And if it tends to go long, your training and your endurance level is high. So if you have to go a minute or two and you're still standing and you have the situation on the hand, you won. So I carry that across my music. Like I said, I was, playing sports and in high school, playing
Hmm.
music in high school, and still doing everything that everybody does.
Right.
How many people know martial arts? You don't know until somebody hits you with a roundhouse kick in the head.
That is true. That is very true.
They say, "Oh, your hands should have been up." Well, it's too late now.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So all those things come into play. Your awareness, and so that went on. And then in the middle '60s, I was living upstate New York, and I was playing with a band called Bernie Milton and the Cavaliers. And one day I'm standing there, and so Bernie says, "So what's all this martial arts stuff? You know what I mean? Karate, you know what I mean?" And I says, "Let me show you." And we were standing out in a hallway by the office of the agent that used to book us.
Hmm.
And I said, "See that? I'm going to stand right here. You see the sill around the door up here, up top, which is about 6.5 or 7 feet or so?" I said, "I'm going to kick that." And he's standing in front of me, and I just leapt straight up, did a front ball kick, hit it, pow. I hit it, and the little plaster dust came out. And he said, "What the hell?" I says, "Imagine if that was your chin."
Nice.
I said, "You'd lose, I'd win." And it got him involved in martial arts.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
he finally started studying, and that's when we got into Shotokan.
Oh, nice.
And he went on to, in the next 3 years, I think it was, attain his black belt and open a school of martial arts.
Wow. That's cool.
And this was up in Ithaca, New York.
Okay.
And so he got some of his other friends and guys who became my friends living up there and stuff. There was two other fellas that had gotten their black belts over the course of the next 3 to 4 years.
Hmm.
We had been studying with this individual who was out of Syracuse, and he used to come down to Ithaca 2-3 times a month for a specific class. So it took a while for those guys who weren't in black belts or not aware of the martial arts critique, so to speak. And that was pretty cool.
You did Taekwondo for a few years in the Air Force, then you switched to Shotokan. What were some of the, when you first switched to Shotokan, what were some of the things that stood out as being different from Taekwondo?
Well, automatically, the first things is the katas that you learn for
Yep.
each style are different. So it puts you in an area where, like myself, I was already a black belt, so I knew what a horse stance was, or forward stance, or shuto, or backhand, or side kick, or spinning hand. I knew all those things. So when they came up in the katas, and the drastic difference between Taekwondo and Shotokan, in Taekwondo, every strike takes you out. That is the premise. It takes you out.
Mm-hmm.
In Shotokan, it wasn't that dramatic. Let's say it was a little more, I don't know if artistic is the right word. "Oh, we're going to do this, let your hand float, do that." There was no floating or any of that business in Taekwondo.
Okay.
It came, if I hit you with a ball kick, it's going to take you through the room.
Nice.
If I took, and then with the little bit of judo I was getting at the same time, so that if you're not able to throw a kick or a punch or any kind of an attack, if somebody grabbed you, this is where I got into judo, where somebody grabbed you and whirls you around, and people would say, "Oh, that's wrestling." Yeah, it's only wrestling until I throw you to the floor, and then I hit you with a stomp kick, on your head or your chest. You know what I mean? And so that was the biggest difference with that. And then it was Kaiko Shinkai.
Okay.
That was when I came back to Massachusetts.
Okay.
This one fellow, he was I'm only saying his nationality because that's who he was. He was a Jewish young man.
Okay.
He had to be about 28 or 29. But the moment he walked in the dojo, he became Japanese.
Okay.
He would be talking to you, in the lobby. "Hi, how's everything? Everything good." The moment he walked in, like, everything was, "Hey, yo." And the first time I met him, I was like, "What the heck?" And he lived the role,
Yep.
And I studied with him for about a couple of years. And then I got my father interested in martial arts.
Nice.
And my dad had to be about 54, 55 or something.
Okay.
And it took him about 2.5 to 3 years. And he attained the rank of first degree black belt in this style that these two brothers had come up with.
Okay.
which was called Kashi. And
Mm-hmm.
Kashi was 5 martial arts, Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, Karate, and Kempo, and I forget what the other one was off the top of my head. And my dad got good at, he could box. My father was a good boxer.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the only thing in my life that I was able to introduce my father to because he was a musician.
Yep.
I mean, an incredible musician. And myself and my 3 brothers, we all were musicians. And I took it to the next level of, touring records and all that. And so I was my father's assistant. Even though I outranked him, it wasn't anything of that nature of rank. It was just I was assisting him with the school that he started in our town.
Oh, wow.
And he ended up having like 3 different locations, 2 in the town. No, 1 in the town and 2 in the city next door.
Wow.
I would say there was well over 60 or 70 students in the years that he had the school.
Okay.
That still some of them I run into occasionally, and it was just a great kind of camaraderie.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them felt like they weren't helpless anymore, or
Mm-hmm.
they were at the mercy of some bully or a gang or this or that. And they felt that they could, like I always would say, stand your ground. And when a wall is behind you, the only way you go is forward. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And but my dad used to say, if the odds are uneven, you run today and you fight tomorrow. So
Nice.
that was his thing that he came up with.
Okay. And you said you did attain your black belt in Taekwondo?
Yes.
Okay. What was that test like back then? I know I've talked to people who've tested, in like the
It was brutal.
70s, 80s. How different was it? Like what kind of stuff did you have to go through?
It was brutal. It was extremely, martial arts is physical anyways.
Yes.
But it was to find out how strong are you? What is your endurance? How far can you go? How can you last? What can you do to make you last? And if I've got you pinned where you can't get out, you have to get out.
Yeah.
If you don't get out, you're done. Now fight. That was it.
Wow.
And like I said, it was with Taekwondo was every strike was a takeout strike.
Mm-hmm.
I never got any broken bones, thank God. Couple of bloody nose one time and backing off a strike to the face and stuff like it. Although there was supposed to be no strikes to the face or cross-legged strikes, but that wasn't said to me when I first started taking taekwondo. You take him now, you cross-leg, trip him, boom, put his leg in a lock. Tap the rug, break a hole through the floor, saying, I give up.
Nice.
So it was, and there was no mats. It was hardwood floors.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like when I went with Kaikushinkai and into Aikido
Mm-hmm.
and then Chinese Kempo, it was, there were mats on the floor, especially when we wanted full contact and I would always say, do what you know.
Right.
Because I got into it one time with this is before I took judo, but I had judo, but I didn't have it as a class per se.
Mm-hmm.
And I took someone down with a shoulder throw and a backflip thing, and they jumped up and started screaming at the instructor, "We're supposed to be doing karate." And the instructor said, "Do what you know.
Nice. That's
Do
cool.
what you know to win." And that got me deep into judo. The judo, I never got a black belt out of it,
Okay.
of sorts, but I was really good. I was quick. I was strong. My height and weight was deceivable because I weighed about maybe 170 the most, and I was at the time 5'8.5", 5'9".
Okay.
And they would always wonder, where do you get that power from? And it was a matter of energetics, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
or the idea of the shortest point with the most power is going to inflict the hardest blow. So being that, I learned that when I was in high school playing football, because I went out for football. And my father said, I told you not to go out for football. And it was so funny because on my freshman year, I'm out there running back and forth. And then I look in the sideline, and there's my father standing next to the coach. I said, oh, no. My heart went down in my stomach. I'm a freshman, and he did his wave, and I come running over, and the coach is standing there. He's listening, but he's still looking at the field because we're practicing. And I thought I told you not to come out for football. He said, After about a minute in ranting, the coach says, "Pete, the kid can play. Kid can play." My father, his famous two words, "Show me." I said, "Oh God!" I run back out in the field, and the coach, of course, the coach is going to call plays. Is going, and at the time, I was playing middle linebacker at 145, 148 pounds,
Wow.
and my father, and so then when I finally looked up over there after about 10 minutes or so, I'm going, I got to prove. My father was gone. You know what I mean? I said, "Oh, oh,
He saw
wow."
enough.
Yeah, he saw enough, so he went home. And when I got home for dinner, we're sitting there, and we lived in a small town. And I told you not to go out for football. I said, "Dad, I can play. I can play that." He said, "Yeah, and I know. The coach told me. Did you say something?" I said, "You watched, Dad. You never talked back in those days. You never talked back.
Yep.
You were, And he says, well, I'll give you one hint. You weigh what, 146, 147? He said, if you're going to play that position, don't go shoulder to shoulder. Don't go mano a mano. Take the 146 pounds and put it on his knee. Put it on his ankle. Otherwise, they're going to run over you and the cleats are going to be in your face." So that's what I learned, back then with that. So
Wow.
that thought always crossed my mind into martial arts.
Yeah.
Put that blow or that point of contact where his weakness is. If you want to go mano a mano, go arm wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that for me with martial arts has been something really. And I have a friend. His name is Donnie Culp. I call him Mr. Culp. He calls him Mr. Tunes. And he's now got his own style. She's into.
Okay.
And it's called The Natural Way. And he's a ninth degree now.
Oh, wow.
And I've known Don Culp since he was turning 16 when I was going into this one style of Chinese Kempo. And after I was new, this was in Rhode Island. And after about 5-6 months, I told the instructor, Mr. Arondo, I says, I'd like to go up for my belt. He said, oh, no, you have to be a minimum, year and a half, 2 years. So they put me off. And then the second time I went right to the headmaster's dojo, which was like 20 miles away. And he says, all right, okay, because he knew I was being very aggressive about it.
Mm-hmm.
So in his mind, he was going to teach me a lesson that I'm not ready. And there was an old saying back in the day, when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear or will appear. And so they called for me to go have this test. And so I get back to the school I'm in, which is associated with them. And I says, I'd like to have your biggest, strongest student you have as my uki. And it happened to be Mr. Culp. And he's about 6'2", I guess, 6'1", 6'2". He's a big boy. I mean, all in shape. There's no fat on this kid. And that test was 3.5, almost 4 hours long.
Wow.
Just me.
Wow.
Just me. And what the honor for me was my dad was sitting on the board because I had asked if my father could sit as a guest.
Nice.
He had never seen me go for a black belt.
That's cool.
And Mr. Culp, the style that he teaches is really, really, it's really strong. It's called the natural way.
Mm-hmm.
Shizentu.
Okay.
No, excuse me. Again, the things of, like when I say martial arts, how it works, even though I'm a musician, martial arts can work for anybody to sustain you. It doesn't matter. You could be a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber, a carpenter, an airline pilot, or whatever. Martial arts, just from doing the exercises alone, will help rejuvenate you and let you live a longer, stronger life.
Definitely.
And whatever it is, it does. I had these things. It's a poem I wrote, and it's BPBRBE. Be prepared, be ready, be exact.
I like that.
My sons, couple of my sons, my son Michael 2, he's a black belt in Antunes, Filipino weapons.
Okay.
And I have 2 others. My daughter-in-law, Lisa, she's a black belt. I can't remember her style.
Mm-hmm.
And my niece and my nephew in Connecticut are both black belts.
Wow.
And a couple of my grandsons been in martial arts for quite a while.
So definitely a family affair. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, between, our family, most people don't know that, the martial arts depth of that. Because I don't go around saying that.
Right.
Because this way here, if somebody has the wrong motive towards one of your family members and stuff, and they already know that the person knows martial arts, they're going to be a little wary
Yeah.
if they say or try and do something that's wrong. But if you know what I mean, so
Yep.
it's sort of like it's like a protective umbrella, shield of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, I have 4 Michaels.
Oh, wow.
I had me, Michael 2, Michael 3, and Michael 4. Michael 4 is 15.
Okay.
And his father's trying to, and my son, Michael 2 and Michael 3 are both ex-Marines.
Nice.
So we tell him, you better, you got to KSA, which means kick some. I won't
Nice.
say it.
That's okay. You can say it. That's fine.
But they're good guys, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? My son Michael, the one that's on East, a black belt, he retired several years ago now, about 7, 8, 9 years. He was a correctional officer, sergeant of about a good 20-something years of him on a correctional system here in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And my other son Warren, he's retired 30 years, correctional officer. And I keep telling him, you guys are retiring like this. I'm only going to be 65. What's wrong with you? He said, yeah, right, Dad. You're older than Methuselah.
See, that's the thing. It's, some of the nicest people that are martial artists, those are the ones you don't know are martial artists. And then there's usually some of the best ones that they don't brag about it. They don't show off.
No, there's a calmness that that if you was to not maintain yourself, you would burn yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, psychologically, emotionally. It allows you to keep your head, even in situations that are not dire. You know what I mean? And it's just that if something happens, you have that quietness, that balance in you to sustain you through whatever it is or obstacles that you've got to deal with right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no planning, and you react, and that's what martial arts does. It gives you a tremendous amount of left and right and balance that you come by, and you utilize it in a way that's beneficial for you and to the persons that you're doing this to.
Very cool.
And people come to respect you knowing that you could have done something really terrible, like taking them out. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Or breaking a leg or an arm. Mm-hmm. Or hitting them so hard that the person is, they get unconscious and they never come out of it.
Yeah.
So you have the opportunity and the expertise at that point how to exercise it. Because I think we all know when we're in imminent danger or not.
Yep.
And then if you have to cut loose with something that's truly lethal, you're doing it and being compassionate about it. There's a difference.
Right. So I love the way that you've been talking about your experience in Taekwondo, because I think although it's one of the most popular martial arts in the world, it's also one of the most, I think, misunderstood. And a lot of that has to do with the Olympics. It's so recognized as a sport now that a lot of people don't think it's a real martial art. And I see so many people online and stuff like that. Oh, it's not a real sport. No, you don't know Taekwondo. You don't know real self-defense. You don't know how to, and I keep telling people that's not real Taekwondo. It's like there's a difference between the sport and the art, and the people who know traditional Taekwondo know how to handle themselves. People don't get that. That's why I love hearing you talk about that, because it's, I studied traditional Taekwondo. I've studied other styles too, like you, but I studied traditional Taekwondo, and I'm very confident in my abilities, and I've, I know what my instructor is capable of and stuff. And yes, we do the sport part too, but our focus is on the traditional and the self-defense, and we blend in judo and hapkido and jiu-jitsu and boxing and other styles too. So it's a very, very, very well-rounded.
Yeah, see, with the Olympics and stuff like that, when you're through, you help that your opponent up.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the real deal, you step over them and you leave.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
Yep,
because that person's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
So
then once you got into music and started touring quite a bit, were you able to still study martial arts like you wanted to? Did you find time to keep going?
I competed up until I was 40, just before I did the movie, like 41.
Really?
I was competing at these tournaments, that were, on a Saturday or Sunday mornings at different places and stuff that was, within but what made it hard was that I'd be playing at that time. We'd be doing a show here or there, and you get done at 1 o'clock in the morning or
Yep.
2 o'clock in the morning. So by the time I get home, it's 6 o'clock if I'm out of state, or you know what I mean. So and you had to be there by 10 o'clock or something to sign in and register. And I found out after a couple of times when I get caught with a kick or a punch in the top of the shoulder that I should have had that. What the heck? And I started to realize I wasn't getting enough sleep
Yep.
over the course of time. And there was nothing you can do to change that. You either get to sleep or you don't.
Right.
And I said, damn, I don't want to take that opportunity. So I stopped competing and I went from, it was full contact except for the cross legs or to the face.
Okay.
And, it was a point system. And it was like, it predated mixed martial arts that you see on TV today.
Yeah, definitely.
It was, and one instructor I had, Danny Zarbo, who was from Rhode Island, he started a group called Rhode Island Thunderbolts,
Okay.
and I was part of that. And then I had to get out because, like I said, I was trying to. You can't burn the candle at both ends and want them to. One side's going to suffer.
Yeah.
And if I got hurt in the face, in my mouth, and I play saxophone, then the other side of me, that what I do is going to suffer.
Yeah.
So I couldn't take that chance. I had to put my pride in my pocket. So if I wanted to have full contact or something like that, I'd put a helmet on and do it in the dojo.
Okay.
And go at it for a good 5-10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In the course of a night, and I was working out, twice a week, Monday and Wednesdays.
Okay.
Because Fridays and the rest of the week would be for playing at that time.
Nice. So, do you remember your very first tournament that you entered?
Oh God, that had to be. Let me think. That was after I left New York and came back to Massachusetts because I wasn't into tournaments. I was into fighting. I said, I'm learning this, so if I have to, I'll kick your ass. And the first thing I'm going to do is, if I feel that good, I cross that line in reference to you can't take on everyone thinking you're going to win every single time, but you should. But I didn't want to get into that thing where, there's a doubt.
Yeah.
About what it is and what happens if a guy pulls a weapon or a girl pulls a knife or a stick or something and you get hit with it, because the odds are nothing is perfect in this world. So I started developing a mental martial arts. So in other words, if I was quick enough in my mind to ascertain the look in someone's face and flip it around, is this serious or is this guy bluffing, or is he just running his mouth, or is he really going to attack?
Right.
And what could I say to stop that, to deflect it, redirect it? And that's what I started doing. Okay. And I played in a lot of different clubs that some people wouldn't walk in because you walk in, you get your head knocked off.
Yeah.
So you have to learn not to walk and look aggressive, but look formidable, but be, hey, I want you on my side.
Right.
So that's the kind of thinking that I put into myself. And I've said this to my sons and to some other students and stuff like that. I said, what if you could stand in front of somebody and do a Bruce Lee? They started laughing. I says, mentally, Bruce Lee. So you're standing there, no matter what the person did, throw, kick, punch, spin this, all you had to do was just move your head, move your body, just like that. And they missed. And after they miss enough times, they're tired. And when they're tired, you pick them up, put them in their car, lock the door. Good night. See ya. It sounds simple, but, it does work.
Yeah.
I've been in situations where, well, we're taking everybody, we're going to kick everybody's butt in this place. And line up over here. I'm not lining up anywhere. So that's in my head. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
But if you think you need to go through this door, you're going to realize there's a cement doorway that you're not going to get through.
Nice.
No matter what you do. And it's a way of looking at someone and not challenging them, but you know what? This is going to be quite the defense on this side, especially if I know, and it's not being egotistical or what, that I know I could take you out. If I just get as quick as I am and as slow as I see that you are compared to what I am, it's over.
Okay.
And then when they get that, they want to buy you a drink.
Nice. So when you were competing, did you only compete in fighting? Did you ever do like forms competition or weapons competition?
Oh, no, I did both.
You did?
I did forms. As being an instructor, you teach forms.
Yep.
And I won a few times, came in a lot of second places and stuff like that. And because I always thought the forms were, it was like the, what you want to say, the ballerina of martial arts
Right.
that you can flip and jump and spin and then hit a target, bang. Or if you have some different targets in different areas, that you can hit this one and spin and hit that one is where you wouldn't believe you'd be able to go. So do you have complete dexterity of your body? And I would sometimes, my instructor, when I was in the school, because it wasn't my school, would allow me to incorporate maybe more than one kata into one another, and or have bookies stationed in different places, or in some instances, they would move back and forth from here to there, so that you can do your forms, so that people can see not only, boy, that is pretty, that looks good, but have different board breaks or cement block break with one as the final one, so that you could show after a minute and a half to 2 minutes of doing a concert, you still have that energy that you can go over there, pow, and break that board, boom, and hit that other board, and come back in the final blow, a hammer fist on a 1-inch cement block and break it.
Nice.
That makes people stand up and look and say, wow,
Yeah.
holy mackerel.
That's cool.
You know, you miss times. There's times that you miss. It's never ever perfect.
Yeah.
That's why you have to stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, so that just like when you blink your eyes, you know your eyelashes are going to go back where they were, and so you keep that quickness, that speed, that power, that determination, that drive, that completion, that makes that whole picture of a kata really get lived by the people who are watching it, never mind the judges.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow. So you mentioned teaching. How long did you teach for?
when I was upstate, that was, let's see, I'd say about 4 years, 5 years.
Okay.
And then when I came back to Mass, the teacher saw that, because whenever I went into a new school, I always would say, until I'm here and I'm associated with the style, I'll be a white belt. And at first they thought it was I said, no, out of respect, this is your style that you teach. I don't know it. I'm new to it. So when you have a new student, you give them a white belt. And you let as the rank goes, you see that this is done and that's done and this is good and that, and then you get the idea and you get the philosophy of what this style is about, and how going back centuries, how the farmers didn't have weapons, and how they came in with nunchucks and swords and stuff and this and that, and they had no weapons, so they had their hands, so they had to learn how to deflect and cause mayhem with a strike, so that people would leave them alone. And it's just like the bow with your left hand covering your right hand. It was always, I come in peace. But should I have to, I will release my weapon from its sheath, and I'm ready for war.
Nice.
So that's what happens when you bow with your hand in case with your left hand over it. And then when you start, your weapon is exposed and ready to do harm.
Okay.
And the other philosophy deals with knowing martial arts, going through the ranks, even if you're a green belt, brown belt, whatever degree you are and everything else, your first obligation to protect those who cannot protect themselves.
Yep.
And if you're not willing to step in and do that, then you're not going by the code of what the martial arts really truly means, helping those who can't help themselves.
I like that. So throughout your music career, then, what lesson that you learned in martial arts do you think helped you as a musician the most?
Well, as you know, I play saxophone.
Yep.
So if you have stamina and endurance, the stamina endurance goes through my mouthpiece into my horn for an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. So there's a correlation there between being physically fit to be a musician, to do what I do, and stand up on stage. I'll give you an example. What I'm saying is, like, say I drove an hour and a half from here to where I've got to go to the engagement, and I've got to be there for a sound check at 2:00 in the afternoon. So I leave my house at 11:00, drive, and then 2:00 I'm on the stage doing a sound check for another hour, an hour and a half. Take about an hour break, and then 8:00 we come on and we do a show from 8 to 10:30. And then after that's done, at around 11:30 or so, drive back home for another 2 hours. That's over a 12-hour day that you need stamina and energy. And a lot of that comes from, a lot of people go to the gym. I still go to the gym. That's good. but if you learn a lot of the martial arts training is your body against your body. So that being said, is you learn to be able to control your body or sustain it for a good length of time. So the transition from martial arts, although I started music before martial arts, but I did sports before that time. I ran baseball, ran football, ran basketball, ran track. So there was always that energy being put. And the transition into martial arts, because I wasn't playing football and basketball and baseball like I did in high school, this took that place and at the same time enhanced the boxing skills that my father had taught me and my brothers.
Okay.
Because that was, I could tell you, my dad, when I came home from New York, and when I was still in the Air Force, so I said, Dad, you got to see this. You got to see this. So my two kid brothers, David and Coogie, they were still home yet. They hadn't left home. So I said, go get some wood over there. They went in the back because we lived in a small town. All right, got a couple of pieces of wood. I said, stand there, all right, and you stand there. So, and my father standing right there. I said, Dad, watch. When I took a step back. I took a step up, and I hit like a front ball kick over my brother. My father said, and he never moved. He just said, can you do that again? Real nonchalantly. I wasn't expecting him to go, wow, whoa, whoa. He said, can you do that again? So I did it again. Yeah, not bad. That's not good, And that's what turned the tide of me. And I said, Dad, you got to get some of this. You got to get into martial arts. And that's when I got into Kashi. And like I say, like 3 years later, he got his black belt, and he was a force to deal with.
That's cool.
Because my dad was about 5'3", 5'4".
Oh wow!
And but he took a 44 Colt, and he wasn't fat. All right, and he had a hand like a sledgehammer,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what got Dad into it, and like I said, he had some schools later on and stuff. And when my dad passed away, there was so many martial artists. He was a special police officer, musician. There was 102 cars in our funeral procession for my dad.
Wow.
And the honor, he got a police honor and a martial arts honor guard. And they did that without us asking.
That's really cool.
And it showed the camaraderie that he and the respect that they had for him for being who he was. And martial arts became a good part of him. And my dad was always one, like I said, if you know martial arts, you protect those who can't protect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad was doing that. We saw that when we were growing up. Incidents that had happened around either the neighborhood or different in town at different clubs where we happened to be playing. And he was always on point, which was so good. He was a good man.
That's awesome. What a cool story. And what an honor. So you kind of mentioned, when you were fighting tournaments, you kind of alluded a little bit to like mixed martial arts and the UFC and MMA. I'm just curious, is that something, are you a fan of that, or what are your thoughts on like mixed martial arts?
I don't follow it because, it's like, if it's something that you enjoyed doing back in the day,
mm-hmm.
and you can't do it now because number one, of your age, and number two, who's gonna get in a ring to go full contact martial arts at 80 years old?
True.
So
Yeah.
what? And I'm a little more than 80. And I'm in good shape. I'm not in perfect shape, but I'm in damn good shape for my age. And people say, Tunes, you don't change. I tell them, sax players don't change. But mixed martial arts, if I had to do it over again, I'd do it. Yeah. I wouldn't have any reason not to.
That's cool.
It's like boxing is a referee in there, and you afterwards, later on in life, you start relating that to the days of the gladiators centuries ago. That's what they did. Yep. They got in the ring, and that's it. The best man is standing. And that's what this mixed martial arts is. Didn't change. It's just got a little more sophisticated.
There you go. Yeah. All right. You talked a little bit about some philosophies and stuff. So in all your years of martial arts, is there one philosophy that is at the top of your list? Stand
your ground.
Nice.
Don't step back, step up.
That's a good one.
But stand your ground.
Very cool. All right, I have some fun questions to wrap it up. This one, I'm you've done a lot of styles and been around a lot of martial artists. So who are maybe 3, 4, 5 names you would put on your personal Mount Rushmore of martial arts?
Well, Ed Parker would definitely be one.
Nice.
I
Okay.
mean, he sort of like became the father of karate. Bruce Lee,
Okay.
my dad,
Very
and
cool.
myself,
Nice. I like that.
and my son.
Hey, that's good. I actually had Ed Parker Jr. on my show. He was one of my first
Yeah.
guests.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. He actually designed my logo for my podcast.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Super, super nice guy. I met him 2005. I met him when I was out in California. So I met him almost 20 years ago. And when I started the podcast, I asked him and he said he'd love to do it. And it was a really fun interview. Really cool guy to talk to.
You know who's a friend? And his father was a big time wrestler, The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson?
Rock, yeah, he's a friend of mine too.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Yes, sir. And the other one who I finally met was Sylvester Stallone. We met him at down in Atlantic City at the Hard Rock.
Okay. He'd be
And
fun to meet.
we sat and we had dinner.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was so funny. It was just him, his brother Frank,
Yep.
and our band, Beaver Brown Band,
Wow.
right?
Mhm.
And so John is on one side of him, and John and I and Sly and Frank we were mic'd because they were filming something for this new show that they had, a streaming that they have going on, family, this and that.
Oh yeah, the Stallone.
And,
Yeah. Yep.
So we sat there, we had dinner and drank some wine and laughed and joked like we've been together for 20 years.
Wow.
And so John sang one of the songs, Hearts on Fire, on Rocky IV.
Yep.
But before that, we had done the theme song, Voice of America's Sons.
For Cobra.
For Cobra.
Yep.
For
I
Cobra.
love that movie. Yeah.
So I told Sly, I says, oh, you know, you and I, we got something in common that no one else has got here. You know what I mean? He says, what? I said, you're first director in Lords of Flatbush and my first director in Eddie and the Cruise. He says, oh, you have Marty. I said, Marty, we had the same director in our first movies.
That's awesome.
Ever. And that was cool. So he's being philosophical to John. He's going, oh, you guys waited to get my age, 76. Cafferty's on the other side of me. He points to me. Right? He says, oh, 82. What the fuck? And he looked at me. I said, it is what it is.
That's awesome.
And I had my cut shirt on, you know, and I have my biceps are still like, yes, they are.
That's awesome.
But he was so funny. What the?
That's cool. he'd be fun to meet. He'd be fun to talk to.
That was such a good time that day. That was such a good time.
Do you have a favorite martial arts book?
It's one that my dad had, and it had, I can't think of the name. My brother's got it, my kid brother.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it was one of showing different artists and what their styles were.
Okay.
And I can't, and it wasn't your regular book set. It was like wide.
Was it like the who's who in martial arts? One of those ones?
It was, yeah, and it was the book was, it wasn't like shaped like a magazine, but it was wider than your normal book.
Yeah.
And wider both ways, so you could open it from right to left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By that I mean, yeah, and the pictures are glossy, and there was like 4 pictures sometimes on one page and stuff. It had to be a good, almost a good 12 inches wide, bigger than an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
Okay.
And if you took and turned it on the side,
yeah,
in that one, I'm gonna ask my brother about that because it was pretty informative, and I couldn't tell you. My brother might know where he got it and how he got it.
Okay.
Because I think it was given to him by his students. It was like a Christmas gift.
Okay. I have one of the who's who in martial arts books from like the late 70s. Someone borrowed me, and it's just fun reading through that and reading some of those stories about those guys. So very, very cool book. I like it.
There was, Chuck Norris became big.
Yep.
You know, as we all know, and I've had one of his machines, the Total Gem.
Yeah.
That's an incredible piece of machinery.
Really? Okay.
And it really does wonders for you if you use it in the right manner. And you can use it just basically for everything.
Yeah.
Arms, legs, this, that. And I've got, the last one I got was about 5 years ago. It's pretty expensive then.
Yeah.
The first one I got was only like $400 or $500 or something. But this one was like $1,400, $1,500. And I mean, yeah. But I still like using free weights. And right now on my easy curl bar, I try and do 4 to 6 reps a day. It's only got like, I think it's 55, 60 pounds on it.
Yeah. But still, that's still good though.
I do reps of 10, 12, and 15.
Wow. That's impressive.
So
That's really impressive. It's good that you're still doing that. How about a favorite martial arts TV show?
I don't watch it. The only one that's on this is, what's his name? Walker.
That's a good one. Chuck Norris. It's a good show.
Yeah. Because I watch TV, but I don't watch television.
Yeah.
And my adage, like I tell my kids and my grandkids especially, I says, everybody is sitting here watching for an hour, 2 hours, and they already made their money. What are you doing to make your life better?
There you go.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
if that story doesn't have a theme to it that is involving you in your life, you might want to watch it when you got nothing else to do. and then, because I've got 24 grandkids.
Wow. Okay.
And I have 25 great grandkids.
Wow.
6 sons, 5 daughters.
Wow.
And 3 great greats.
Wow. That's impressive. Very cool.
And my daughter Juanita is going to be 61.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my oldest son is going to be 62.
Nice.
I have one son. He's a keyboard player. He studied for a while before he left the area.
Mm-hmm.
Him and my other son, they were the drummer, keyboard player for New Kids on the Block.
That's awesome.
And Derek, the drummer, who's younger, he's 2 years younger, he was our ranking hot kid in the karate school.
Wow.
He was going to the same school. Yeah, he was our number one kid. He was about, 11, 12? And he used to compete all the tournaments because I'd be out playing and he'd go with the instructor and that and come back with his little trophies and stuff. And his name is Derek. He was the drummer for New Kids. Kevin was the keyboard player for New Kids. And Kevin right now, he's musical director on tour. He's Madonna's musical director.
One of my friends, she's also a martial artist. Maybe you know her, Christine Bannon Rodriguez. She was just at the Madonna concert 2 nights ago.
Yeah, because they're I want to say they're in Montreal today.
Okay, yeah, I think it was either Sunday or Monday. She went to the Madonna concert.
Yeah,
she was posting about it.
Does she live in Detroit?
No, she lives in. She might have traveled. She lives in D.C. She has a martial arts school in D.C. So she must have traveled. Yeah.
Yeah, because they went up to Toronto for 2 days, and then they were going to Detroit, and then they come back to Montreal, and then I think they're going back down to New York City for a couple of days. But he's been with her as a musical director about 17 years.
Wow, that's cool.
And my youngest son, Matthew, he got into martial arts, and his son, Quincy, got into martial arts. And Quincy, I think, became a brown belt.
Okay.
He's 20 now. But Matthew, my youngest son, he's a drummer, guitarist. He was musical director for Cavaliers for a while there.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, I'm doing a show with him next month.
Okay.
It's a tribute Motown review thing.
Fun. That would be cool.
They're all doing stuff,
yeah,
which is good.
So music and martial arts definitely runs in the family.
And law enforcement is in our family.
Nice.
Like I tell you, my 2 older sons are retired correctional officers.
Yep.
I was an air policeman. My older brother was a police officer. My dad was a special police officer. My grandson is a state trooper here in Massachusetts. The other one are 2 police officers, one in New Haven and one in Wellesley, Mass.
Wow.
And my cousin, Jerry, he retired as a lieutenant in the New Haven Police Department.
That's cool.
So they would always bust our chops and say, "You guys F up on the stage. We're going to arrest you."
That's awesome.
It was fun. They're going to arrest us.
That's funny.
Oh.
All right. Do you have a favorite martial arts movie?
It goes back to the first and second one, the Bruce Lee movies.
Okay.
Those, and that's just going to be in the 70s, early 70s.
Yeah. So it'd be like Chinese Connection, Fists of Fury, Enter the Dragon, Fist of Fury. Okay.
Fist of Fury and Enter the Dragon.
Nice.
Because I remember I had the band and we were on the road. We were down in outside of Baltimore. And so Fist of Fury, whatever, was playing in the theater on our night off. So the band wants to go. So we go. And it was so, it was funny, but it was stupid at the same time. People are jumping up and down. They're talking out loud in the theater. No, watch this, because I've seen this before. My man's going to stand up. He's going to kick him dead in his face. What? Pow! Oh, my man. It was like, I said, I can't come to this anymore. No.
That's awesome.
And you don't want to say nothing because the whole place will bring out mayhem.
Yep.
It was
Wow.
kind of funny.
That's funny. This one doesn't have to be a martial arts movie. It can be any movie at all, just a favorite movie fight scene.
I really have to think about that. Oh God, I escapes me because the way they do them nowadays, they're so you have to go back a
Yep.
while.
I've had people
But
pick Billy Jack and Rocky
what's
and
what's his name?
Zorro.
What's the French guy? He also played a part as a detective, but he was a martial art in the movie at the same time. And the same with my brain's dead. What's the guy? The big guy with the ponytail. He mostly a lot of Aikido moves
Oh,
and
Steven
stuff.
Seagal.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's got some good ones.
Yep.
I can see him, but I can't think of his name. Damn. See, don't turn 80. He has the choreographed is
Yep.
good, and some of these other ones, the Asian ones that come out, they're so you try to believe them,
Yeah.
but they're so over the top orchestrated that it loses that kill factor
Yeah.
that really tips you up. You know what I mean? But there was a couple of girls that were good for their characters that they played, what they did, and I can't think of the
Yeah. I like the ones who look real. Those are usually my favorite ones.
yeah the ones that look too glossy. They it turns me off in a way.
Yeah. Does that make sense? All right, I got kind of a final question, not to do with martial arts, but I'm curious. After Eddie and the Cruisers and after the success of that movie, did you ever at all consider, hey, maybe acting's for me? Was that ever even a thought?
Well, not to leave the music field.
Okay.
My music will always be with me. That's my first love and choice. That my cousin back in 1959, 58, 59, my cousin is a bass player, and he was playing my cousin Joe Silver, and he released a record with that band, and I was playing saxophone already,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, wow, I want to do that. That was
Nice.
like 58, 59. And I did do that in 1961, recorded and released my first record, The Grasshopper,
That's
with
awesome.
Mike and the Blazers. And then I did a cover of John Lee Hooker's Boom Boom in 63,
Mm-hmm.
and I toured with Chuck Berry, with
Wow.
the Richard Nader original rock and roll
Mm-hmm.
show with Bo Diddley, the Shirelles,
Wow.
Little Richard. I mean, it was the who's who of rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
And like we did Madison Square Garden, we went to Cobo Arena, Detroit, Montreal, D.C., Boston, Springfield, Mass, and stuff. And we did that for about a year and a half, back and forth, and that was incredible.
That's cool.
Like you always look at Madison Square Garden as the sports mecca of the world,
Yeah.
because that's what it was back then, and it's still, both for music and now for whatever else they want to have there.
Mm-hmm.
But to play there on that stage with 17,000 some people and behind Chuck Berry and do this and do that and
That's cool.
that and it was just amazing. Roy Orbison
Oh,
was on the
wow.
second one.
Wow. That's cool.
Lloyd Price.
Jeez. Mm-hmm.
It was just a very special time, and the way the artists came out was the same way you come out of the box fighting.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they came out. They felt like they had, if the record was 1962 and this was like 1969, 1970,
Mm-hmm.
they felt like it was 1962. And that's the record. Bang! And they hit it.
Nice.
And that brings the love of what it is you do to blossom right there in front of all these people. And it was just amazing.
And you can tell when you go to a concert, you can tell if the artist is truly having fun and loving it or if it's a job. You can tell, unfortunately, because I've been to some where you can tell it's a job and they don't want to be there and they're just going through the motions. But so many others, they still love it. And one of the best ones, I saw Johnny Rivers in concert like 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it was at a casino. And the one thing I remember is right before the show started, you heard a guitar start playing. And it played for like a minute, no one on stage, and he walked out playing the guitar. He did not stop playing the guitar for 90 minutes. Even he finished a song and he kept playing. And he kept playing until the next song. And afterwards I got to talk to him because I worked in radio at the time. And I asked him, I said, how can you? He's like, because I still love it. And his eyes just lit up. And it was like, wow, that's the best answer ever. That's so cool.
It's like, many times people come up and say, how can you play the same song week after week, month after month, year after, you know, I said, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they're laughing, you know, how do you do that? I said, let me put it this way. Are we friends? I said, yeah, yeah. I said, have we been good friends for a while here? Yeah. I said, should I ignore you and make like you're not here? Well, that's what the songs are. They're like a good friend.
That's a good way
And
to put it.
good friends never fail you. It's when you do. And then, you know, I was just going to say something. It's like an act of kindness,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because a
Yeah.
lot of times people say, "Oh, what else do you do?" I said, "This is what I do." Why?
Mm.
Do you have to do something else because you're playing music? Well, I just thought. Yeah, I said, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm a lawyer. Do you play at night? You go play? You like to play? You say you play this and that."
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I don't have time. Well, I said, well, I always have time for what it is I love to do, the same way as you being a lawyer or someone being whatever they are.
Yeah.
Do what you love and do it from the heart. Because if you don't, you're fooling yourself and you're living a life of jeopardy.
Wow.
That's what you're doing. You're only hoping that, oh, I'll be happy this time. Oh, last time wasn't so good. Oh, man, oh, this was good. You go and you do the best.
Exactly. And I've only got to see you play live once. Like I said, John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, they played in Fargo, North Dakota at an event called Rib Fest, probably I'm guessing probably 15 years ago it was. And I was so excited. I loved, and I'm hoping I get to see you guys live again sometime, because it's, if anyone gets a chance, it's just pure rock and roll. So it's just good music and just so much fun. You guys are so good live, and it's been such an honor to have you on the show and talk martial arts and a little bit of music, because like I said, Eddie and the Cruisers, one of my all-time favorite movies. Absolutely love it. I cried when Wendell died. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. But if not, I recommend go watching it, because it's really, really good. I love it. But I love that you're still doing what you love and been doing it this long and bringing great music to us. And I can't wait to hear the new music you guys are working on.
Yeah, we got new ones out, Day in the Sun and Blue California, and we got a few. We're going to be releasing the whole album this year, probably by
Nice.
springtime. So we're
Well,
still kicking it, celebrating 50 years in the business.
that's so awesome.
As Beaver Brown, for me, it's been 70 years
Wow.
last year for me from the time I picked up my horn.
That is so cool.
I'm co-writing a book right now.
Really?
Yes, and I had released a book of poems a little over a year ago.
Okay.
It's a BOT, Book of Tales, Book of Truth, Book of Tunes.
Okay.
And they're motivational, spiritual, what do you want to say, a few about the flag and
Uh-huh.
9/11
Okay.
and family and stuff like that. And this new book is called The Art of Kindness.
Oh, wow.
And I'm co-writing it with a woman called Carol Loros. And she had a book out called Macrobiotics, My Journey from Music to Macrobiotics.
Okay.
And we're just about done with it now, and we're going to be going to press with it, hopefully by the middle of next month.
Oh, you'll have to let me know. Because if it's out by the time the podcast comes out, I can put a link out for it. Where can they get your first book?
Well, right now, I just pulled it offline because I've been so involved with this new book. But if you send me a street address or something, or a house address, I'll send you a copy.
Oh, wow. I
And it's
appreciate that.
there's like 46 poems in this.
Okay.
And I said, like, they vary, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of, you know, there's one on 911.
Okay.
You know, you call 911, you know, this is going to, it says, no fire is too small when we get the call. All flames are fair game to be put out. The solid sounds you hear are our boots hits the ground. So we rescue everyone, then we all get out. And when heroics are the norm and extraordinary, we will never settle for anything less. There is no price tag for all the life said. The bell rang and we answered the call, 911.
That's awesome.
And
Wow.
I have some. Do you have any friends who are firemen?
I actually
Or
do. Yeah.
policemen?
One of my classmates.
Do you have children, Brian?
I do. I have three children. My oldest son is, he'll be 25 in May.
Uh-huh.
He was living out east. He just moved back here in November to Minnesota. My middle son just turned 20 in December. He's going to college in Utah for acting. And our daughter is 17. She's a junior in high school.
Yeah, I have one in here for daughters, and I have one. It's called World Girl. It's a motivational one for women. are for girls.
Very cool. I'll let her read that.
Yeah, and the daughters one, I'll read it. It's real quick. It
Okay.
goes, to all our daughters who are grown and on their own, you faced all that was thrown at you, and now you're not alone. You've given it your all and have proven your worth. No one can deny your rights, given it birth. So share with your daughters who are coming up behind you. That's what you do.
That's cool. Wow.
So
you're really good. That's good. And my daughter actually wants to be a writer. So she's into writer and an actress. I mean, all three of my kids. So all three of my kids did martial arts. They all got their junior black belts. They didn't stick with it any longer. Although my 20-year-old wants to get back into it. And they also all have been involved in theater since they were like in kindergarten. They've all done musical theater and they're all singers. And plus my middle son's also an athlete. He did track and cross country and cross country skiing in high school. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So my kids stay busy. And my daughter just made the speech team this year in high school, and she's doing the one act play this month. And my kids keep me running around.
Then I have the other ones who are other poems that are a little different. Like this is a leaf in the wind, as quiet as a pen, for I know not where it had been. A tree left behind, I wish it were mine. The branches now bare, only the birds care. It waits for me to call as summer is turning to fall. This leaf has had its fling. Now I have to wait for spring.
Wow, that's really good. That's cool. Yeah, I'll text you my address as soon as we're done here. I'd love to check that out. That's really cool. Well, I will definitely put a link out for the band's website and anything else I need to when the episode comes out. And just from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you. This has been a dream come true. It's been such an honor to have you on the show, and I can't wait for people to hear this episode.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Brian, and you and all your friends who make your podcast a success by the people that you bring and bring a certain amount of fun, truth, and just love what you do and do it from your heart.
I love it. It's been a blast, and I truly appreciate it.
God bless you.
Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.